Night encounter. I've always been a creature of habit. My daily routine never wavered: wake up, go to work, and return home. The journey from my office to my little apartment was mundane, an endless cycle of monotony. But one fateful night, everything changed. It was a particularly dark and stormy evening. Rain battered my windshield as I navigated the winding roads, thunder growling ominously in the distance. The clock on my car's dashboard read 12:30 a.m., far later than I had ever stayed at the office. A sudden rush of anxiety coursed through me. I needed to get home. My drive was a lonely one. The eerie solitude of the deserted road, paired with the relentless storm, left me feeling more isolated than ever. I clutched the steering wheel, my knuckles turning white. As I approached a dilapidated bridge, my car's headlights flickered and died. Panic surged within me as I coasted to a stop in the complete darkness. I fumbled for my phone, cursing my bad luck, and activated its feeble flashlight. The rain showed no sign of letting up, so I reluctantly decided to brave the tempest and check the engine. I stepped out, and the cold rain soaked me within seconds. My heart raced as I popped the hood, the dim glow of my phone barely illuminating the engine. Suddenly, a voice broke the silence. It was a soft, mournful whisper, carried by the wind. "Help me." I spun around, my heart pounding, scanning the empty road. "Hello," I called out, my voice trembling. "Is anyone there?" Silence. Only the rain and the distant thunder answered me. I shook off the feeling of dread and returned to my car, trying to ignore the eerie sensation that someone was watching me. My car's engine remained stubbornly unresponsive. With a sigh, I decided to walk back to the nearby gas station I had passed a few miles back. I locked my car and began the long, cold trek, the rain soaking through my clothes. The gas station's neon sign buzzed in the distance, its flickering light a beacon of hope. As I approached, I noticed the place was deserted, not a soul in sight. I walked toward the entrance, the rain finally letting up, and pushed open the door. The bell above the door jingled softly as I entered, and the harsh fluorescent lights buzzed overhead, casting eerie shadows. The shelves were stocked with snacks, magazines, and rows of candy, but there was no sign of the cashier. "Hello," I called out, my voice echoing through the empty store. "Help me." The whisper came again, closer this time. My heart raced as I followed the sound, stepping cautiously down a dimly lit corridor toward the back of the store. The voice seemed to be coming from the restroom. I pushed open the door, and what I saw froze the blood in my veins. A figure stood before me, a pale, translucent form with hollow eyes that seemed to bore into my soul. It was a woman, her tattered dress clinging to her ethereal form. She was weeping, her tears flowing like a never-ending river. "Who are you?" I stammered, unable to tear my eyes away from her. "I was lost," she whispered, her voice filled with sorrow. "I've been searching for so long." My mind raced as I tried to make sense of the impossible. This woman was a ghost, there was no doubt about it. But why was she here? What did she want from me? Before I could gather my thoughts, she reached out a hand, her fingers cold as ice. "Help me find my way home," she implored. I hesitated, the fear warring with compassion. Against my better judgment, I nodded, my heart aching for this lost soul. The ghostly woman led me back to my car, her presence filling the vehicle with an eerie chill. As I started the engine, she directed me down the winding road, her voice guiding me through the storm. I lost track of time as we drove, the rain pounding on the roof like a relentless drum. The road seemed to stretch on forever, and the world outside grew increasingly surreal. The landscape transformed into a shadowy, twisted version of reality, and I realized we were no longer in the familiar territory. Finally, the woman instructed me to stop. We were in the middle of a dense forest, the trees looming like ancient sentinels. She pointed to a dilapidated cabin in the distance. "That's where I live," she said, her voice trembling. I nodded, my heart pounding as I parked the car and followed her toward the cabin. The air grew colder with each step, and the forest seemed to close in around us. Dread gnawed at my insides as we reached the cabin's decaying door. With a trembling hand, the ghostly woman pushed it open, revealing a scene of unimaginable horror. Inside, the cabin was filled with the restless spirits of the deceased, their hollow eyes fixed on me. They moaned and wailed, their voices a cacophony of agony. The woman turned to me, her eyes filled with sorrow. "You must help us find peace. You can free us," she whispered. I realized then then that I had been lured into a trap of vengeful spirits desperate to escape their torment. My heart pounded as I turned to flee, but the door slammed shut with a deafening crash, trapping me inside with the tormented souls. And as the ghostly figures closed in, their mournful cries echoing in my ears, I knew I would never escape the horrors of that night. I had become one of them, forever lost in the darkness, a victim of the midnight encounter.